Yo, it's DigiWatchTCG with another deck profile for you. Today I am excited to give you my X-Antibody BT7 deck list. And I figured I might just put this out here right now just because I think it's going to save a lot of time, and I think that I can just explain what each card is by just pointing to it so you can see and make that decision. There's no surprises here. If you need to take a snapshot of this, absolutely go ahead. But I would recommend hearing the choices of why I pick certain numbers. And with that said, I am just going to go into it. So we're going to start off with the Doraemon at 4. Some people have said don't use 4. You got to use 5. I disagree. The game never goes long enough to cycle through all of them, and if you are going to go to, a point in time where you don't have any eggs left, easily you can just play your cards. It doesn't really hurt you too much. You just don't get an extra draw because that's the Doraemon effect. I like to go over my options and my tamer choices first. So I think next one here is Final Zubagan Punch. I think 3 is the perfect number. I don't think any more or less is needed. You see it when you want to. You don't you don't draw too many of them. And there are times where sometimes you may have 4 and just like a level 4 or level 5 on the field, and you just play it. And even though you're not getting all the effects of being able to swing at your opponent or whatnot and do additional security checks or gain reward blocker, still gives it 3,000. So it won't die from the check, and it keeps that till the next turn. So I really do think that 3 is the best number for that. I am the kind of player that likes to be a little bit more secure in his security. Iron Fisted Onslaught is the way I do that. I think that Iron Fisted Onslaught gets rid of wide boards. It gets rid of big guys. I just think at 2 it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't change that count. Especially since it is an 8 cost, so you got to be a little weary of that. But when it is initial security, it has saved me so many times where opponent swings and you're like, oh, it died. Oh, I can't do anything. Against purple, it does hurt you a little bit, but I try to figure out what I'm going to do, if maybe I should take it out and side it for something else. Prime Memory Boost at 2. Some people have played 3, 4. I think 2 is fine. You do want 5 is the number. 5 is the magic number in this deck. You definitely want to see, having 5 at some point. But with the way the meta is currently, there are so many memory blockers that I don't want to over play this, and it is a good searcher as well when you need to play it. And as you can see, there are a lot of 3 less than 4 costs in this deck, so it really does help you get 1 extra resource on the field. Coda at 4. I don't need to go into that too heavily. You need 4. You need to search your deck. It's your memory fixer, and it's also a really good card. I just think in general, just to be able to search and able to be a target for Gromomon. So there have been times where I have multiple Kodas, unfortunately, in my hand, and either it gets hit in security, or if I have to play it in hand, I'm like, okay, I'll play the second one because I have Gromomon. It makes my opponent think like, okay, he may have a Gromomon, he may have a hybrid. 2 Izzy Joe, again, same reasoning. 5 is your magic number. You want to have Digivolve for 3, and then use the final punch for 5. So that's what I would say for that. Going off to our 3s, we're playing X-Antibody, so for Doraemon. For Toyagumon, I don't think that needs explaining. You want Reboot on your guy so he can't get deleted and he can't be attacked unless you're playing Jessamon. Sunriseamon, this card is I would definitely play more of these if I had more of these. But 2 I think is fine. I've never actually had a problem with that, and I love either playing it out on the field or just like digivolving on it, because it gets either the additional swing or gives gives Goromon swinging, piercing. So I really like the fact that it's so versatile in that respect. Chumon, my side deck has 2 other Chumon in it, so if I feel like if I'm facing like blue, I will play like more Chumons. My fours are a little mixed just because I don't have everything, and this is what I currently own and can afford. So Numamon, number one, it works well with Pride Memory Boost. Number two, it's a 1 to Digivolve, and a 3 to hard play. So if you find yourself like I don't have any other play and you just need a 4 to get to your 5, you could hard play it. In a sense that it's kind of in a similar reasoning like why some people play Nanimon. Nanimon is a 2 cost to Digivolve, which I don't really like. I like to be able to raise in my breeding, and that's my deck strategy, is that I'll kind of split between putting a card on the battle area and then also keep something in raising all the way to your until you're able to swing for game or close to game. Dark Tyrannomon, kind of the same logic for Numamon. It's a 1 cost, it's a blocker. Blocker never really comes up so often. My opponent chooses not to swing, and that's that. Grumblemon, swing hybrid for game essentially is basically what this card is for. Early game though, if you don't have any other moves, it's a 4, so you can use it for that. X-Antibody, Duragamon, and with this one, I have mixed feelings about either having it out or having it in raising, and the reason why is because you either want to hold this in your hand, or you want this to give you the additional 1,000 when you bring it out, because that really sometimes makes a difference between if you're able to play final Zubagon Punch or not. At the time of declaration, when you do a swing with this card with your boss monster, even if you did swing with it, you need this underneath for final Zubaza to work properly. My 5s, I'm just going to kind of skip over for a second. The Dorogreymon, it's an X-Antibody. It protects itself from destruction, DP reduction, and if you Digivolve on top of it in the same turn, that applies to the card on top as well. So there have been times where I leave it in a raising, sometimes I leave it in hand, sometimes I have to have it on field. I think this is probably one of the best cards out of the entire set so far. Only because I think that there's so much versatility into what you can use it for. So most of the time what will happen is I will actually evolve with Metal Greymon or Volcanomon, which I'm going to get to in a second. But if like I'm playing someone who I know can delete my stuff very quickly, or I want to protect for 1 turn, yeah, it works perfectly. It has actually some really cool effects. That the fact that you can get a security check on it, if it's inherited, under it's inherited, or if it can't be destroyed or reduced in DP in battle. The only way to get over it is in battle. Metal Greymon, because this deck likes to reboot a lot, and Metal Greymon is giving you the extra swing, so I'll put this in raising if I could, and then when I get to my 6 and bring it out, I'll add in the Duro Greymon to swing. But it's a flex spot. It's kind of mixed between this one. So the Volcanomon, kind of the same logic. On your turn, it gets an additional security check if your opponent has a non-suspended. So it really is just kind of like almost a place filler. It doesn't really matter too much. I think that giving it reboot is much more efficient, which is why the Metal Greymon for me I would like much better. So we got to our 5s. Let's go to the 6s. So 6s, underneath here, I'm just going to move this a little bit, is 2 Alphamon. Security check actually has played a lot of roles in my previous games and stuff. When it comes out, opponent has to do other things. Can't really swing for additional checks or do additional attacks with other cards. But I have noticed that sometimes my opponent will be more weary of it and say, like, if I'm going to Digivolve into a Tamer after the security check has occurred. So only 2 Alphamon. And then we're going to go into 2 Dorogoramon, 4 Dorogoramon. I'll say this card is just too good. I just think it's way too good. And I will say that the thing is I'm really trying to figure out what next format's going to look like. If this card is going to stay in, if it's going to play less. or not. So I'm kind of mixed between that. But in terms of right now, you have to play 4. It's X-Antibody. That's how you have to do it. And then lastly, I'm going to just bring this back up here, is 2 Chaosmon. And I'm just going to mention something about Chaosmon. It is so good. There are so many times where I will swing, do 3 or 4 checks, 5 checks sometimes, into security, and then they're like, okay, well, great, I have just one on field, I have this on field, whatever. And what I can do is I will actually be able to digivolve on top, unsuspend, swing, and do additional checks depending on what I have underneath. Now, for example, if I have, let's say I only did 2 checks because my hand just ended up being that way, what I would be able to do is, if I have Toy Agumon, or I have the final punch that I activated, or the Metal Greymon, those checks also reoccur with the piercing effect, which is not a lot of times people are thinking about. And it is a 7. And if you have another black card in play, then you can play Final Punch, and it goes up to 17. And I will say this: there was a match I had the other day. I was playing against a player who played Machine Dramon, and I swung into his guy, and he thought I was just going to be deleted, and I because he didn't have enough level 5s to take off to protect his guy. So his guy got deleted, and he was like, "So how many checks?" And I was like, 2 checks. Wow. And then I just went to Gromamon for game, and that was it. It was very quick, and it was really cool, interesting match. I also had a match where I played Chaosmon, played the final punch, and my opponent was like trying to figure out, okay, I could swing, and I think it was just when I was playing, and he actually couldn't get over because Final Zuba gave him 3,000, plus he was blocker and reboot underneath, so he was a 17 blocker. And keep in mind, you have to have a black card out already to use this, so you play it, and it applies to Chaosmon. So he couldn't get over the card, and he was like, he couldn't swing, and so he had to play around it, and wasn't able to clear all my security checks out of the way. And then when I went, I just swung. I did this deck does crazy things. I think I promoted, I think it was like Chumon in my breeding. I brought him out, swung with Chaosmon. He had a block, so he lost his blocker, and then I swung with Chumon for game, and that was it. So I hope this deck profile helps anyone. I know we only have a few weeks left until we get to BT8, but I really like the play style here. I am not 100% certain if it's going to be one of the top decks I'm going to use competitively next format. I know it is going to be a top deck, but I already have my eyes set on an Imperial Dramon dual color, and I have the Black War Greymon I've been building and collecting the pieces up to now. But other than that, I hope this deck helps, and it does get so much good support in the next 2 sets. So we have X-Antibody in BT9, and we have a bunch of the other cards. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names right now, but amazing cards coming up in BT8 for X-Antibody. But anyway, like, subscribe, enjoy, and I hope this helped you digivolve to the next level.